Hello to everyone. In today's video lecture, exactly in next 10 minutes, you will understand the second lesson of your textbook, which is Life Processes in Living Organisms, Part 1, Standard 10th textbook, Biology textbook. So in next 10 minutes, we are going to exactly understand the first part of this lesson, in which we are discussing exactly how our body derives energy. It extracts energy from the food material which we eat. So first of all, understand the fact when we eat a chapati, when we eat sabzi or aloo or anything, and potato sabzi or anything else, we are consuming nutrients. Okay, we are consuming nutrients. We are consuming some chemicals. We are consuming some sort of substances in our body. But that substance, that chapati, that aloo, that potato curry is not exactly the energy. Our bodies, our cells need to extract out energy from that food stuff, from that food material. How exactly it is done, that is today's biggest question, which we are going to understand in next 10 minutes. So let's dive into it. We all are living organisms, from a bacteria to human beings. We all are living organisms, and living organisms have various bodily processes running in their body. And these bodily processes, living processes, lively processes, needs energy. They are in continuous need of energy. And exactly where we are getting this energy from, we are getting this energy from our food stuff which we eat. Different organ systems are working in our body. As you can see, various organ systems are shown here. Respiratory system is working, nervous system, endocrine system, circulatory system, your muscular system, one of the most important systems which makes you move from place to place. Different organ systems are working together in your body. All right, all systems function in coordination, and continuous energy supply is required for lively activities. Obviously, your heart is working, it is pumping blood throughout your body, so your heart is in continuous need of energy because it's moving, right? Your muscles are moving, it's in your muscles are in continuous need of energy. So carbohydrates, fats, proteins, lipids are the major sources of energy. All life processes requires energy. This is the key point here, okay, which you have to take from this slide. All life processes requires energy and contribute to energy production. So exactly what are the foodstuffs, what are the materials which we need in order to get the energy which is required through our lively processes? So the food sources and nutrients. Plants are autotrophs. We know the fact that plants are autotrophs. We are studying this fact from a very little age, from fifth, sixth standard, fourth standard even. Plants are autotrophs. They produce their own food with the process of, yes, you know the process. Yes, if you want to, if you don't know, just comment down below if you don't know the process. I think all of you know which process is going on inside the plants through which they produce their own food. So all plants are autotrophs. You can write it down in the comments which process is going on continuously in the plants in order to produce their own food and prepare their own food. Food is stored in fruits, leaves, stem, and roots. These are some of the important parts of plant in which plants store their foodstuffs, their excess nutrients. And those excess nutrients are consumed by us, animals, humans and animals obtain nutrient from these plants and other food sources. And this is the key point here. 1 gram of carbohydrate provides 4 kilocalories of energy. You need to keep this thing in mind, the amount of energy you are getting from the amount of matter you are consuming. If you consume 1 gram of carbohydrate, you are getting 4 kilocalories of energy. This is a very key point here. Why? Because this point will show up in multiple choice questions as well as in question number first B, where there are no choices given. So these are the some important nutrients here. Carbohydrates, one of the most and major nutrients for your daily use. Proteins, yes, the undisputed, the most important ones. Minerals, fats, and vitamins. Minerals and fats are needed in very less amount as compared to carbohydrates and proteins and fats, but they are essential. So cellular respiration. Now we had already discussed which foodstuffs we need to consume in order to provide our body with energy. But exactly how our bodies produce energy is a totally different thing. It's not just about eating anything. Okay, it's not just about eating your sabzi, chapati, and daily foods. It's not about that. That thing is getting inside our body. Our body will digest it first, and the nutrients will be carried to our cells. Yes, and within the cells, those nutrients will be broken down with the help of oxygen. Yes, this is the most important point here. In case of cellular respiration, we are inhaling oxygen, and that same oxygen is responsible for the breaking down of glucose in our cells, which ultimately produces ATP. What is ATP? The pure energy molecule which we require. Okay, so cellular respiration is nothing but the process of energy production. We already had our dinner, we already had our lunch, and now that lunch is getting inside our stomachs and intestine, and it is broken down into smaller pieces. It is getting absorbed by our blood, and our blood is actually making it reach to every cells throughout our body, and inside our cells that carbohydrate is getting broken down into ATP, and that ATP is nothing but pure energy molecule which our body can utilize, our body can use, and that is done with the help of oxygen. So this is what we call cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is not like we are inhaling and exhaling out the air, which is called respiration, a body level respiration or something, but this is a cellular respiration. Cellular respiration means we are using oxygen to break down glucose to produce ATP. Yes, so glucose is the main source of energy in the cells, first of all, because we are using majority of the times the carbohydrates which we eat. Energy released from glucose is stored as ATP, which is the pure energy molecule. Keep this thing in mind. This is also called the energy currency. This is the key point here. The the breakdown of glucose inside the cell is called as cellular respiration. We had already discussed it. You can see this diagram. You can pause the video. You can examine this diagram and you can easily understand this glucose is broken down with the help of glycolysis, various processes which we are going to discuss right now. So in case if we are having a lot of amount of oxygen, we are relaxing somewhere, we just had our dinner, we just had our lunch, and we are relaxing, we are having enough amount of oxygen in our surrounding and we are consuming it, and our body is not in the need of huge amount of energy or huge amount of oxygen, so the glucose will be fully broken down. The glucose will be completely broken down in the presence of oxygen. Okay, in the presence of oxygen, but there are conditions, there are situations, sometimes they arise, like in case of exercise. Whenever you exercise, whenever you run a lot, in that case, what your body does, your body is in requirement of ATP, huge amount of ATP. But do you have that amount of oxygen to break down the glucose in your body? No, because your lungs are having some sort of capacity to absorb the oxygen. They cannot exceed that capacity. So there is a limit of oxygen when you exercise. But when you are relaxing, your body's need of oxygen is very less compared to when you are exercising. So what happens in case of presence of oxygen? Glucose is broken down completely because oxygen breaks down the glucose very easily. So occurs in the presence of oxygen, which we call aerobic respiration. Whenever oxygen is present, it is called aerobic respiration, in the presence of air, in the presence of oxygen. Complete breakdown of glucose. So it produces a large amount of energy because glucose is broken down completely. Then produces large amount of ATP, obviously, because glucose is broken down completely. Nothing has been left. On the other hand side, whenever you are exercising and your body is not getting enough oxygen in that condition, so glucose won't be broken down completely because oxygen is not in higher amount in your body. Oxygen is very limited to break down the glucose. So incomplete breakdown of glucose will occur. Glucose will not be broken down completely. It will be incompletely broken down and it will be producing less amount of ATP. It's quite simple to understand. So there are three stages of aerobic respiration whenever you break down the glucose in presence of oxygen. The first step is glycolysis. The name itself is suggesting you that it is the breaking down of glucose. Glycolysis. Glyco means glucose, the sugar, and lysis means to break down. So it occurs in the cytoplasm of cell. Remember again that we are talking about the cellular respiration. So all the processes which are going on, they are going on inside the cells. So glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm. Glucose breaks down into pyruvic acid, and this pyruvic acid is again broken down into certain other chemicals, and then it enters inside the Krebs cycle. Remember, we are talking about this whole scenario in a very short manner right now. If you want to discuss it in great detail and from your exam point of view, you can join our classes as well. So secondly, it enters the Krebs cycle. It occurs in the mitochondria. It occurs in the mitochondria Krebs cycle. The chemicals which are produced in the glycolysis, they enter inside the mitochondria and then starts the process of Krebs cycle. Further oxidation of pyruvic acid, Krebs cycle. They oxidize the pyruvic acid and further other chemicals. Oxidize means break down. Okay, oxidation means to break down. And lastly, they enter into the electron transfer chain reaction, which also occurs in the mitochondria. So there are two processes which are occurring in the mitochondria and only one process which is occurring inside the cytoplasm. So it produces the maximum amount of ATP, the electron transfer chain reaction. You can pause the video, you can write down this whole sequence over here. Then aerobic respiration, it requires energy, it requires oxygen, complete breakdown of glucose. We had already discussed this, and large amount of ATP is produced in case of aerobic respiration, which is 38 molecules of ATP are produced in it. Takes place mainly in mitochondria. We had already discussed here that two processes, Krebs cycle and ETC cycle, they are occurring in the mitochondria. And then end products which we get at the end, we get the ATP. Obviously we had already discussed it, but also we get H2, which is water, and carbon dioxide, which we exhale out of our body at the end of aerobic respiration. Equation is is going like this. This is not a balanced reaction, but still you can write it down. So just pause the video, take your time and write it down. Anaerobic respiration, we had already discussed it. Anaerobic respiration, when your body is in requirement of large amount of oxygen, but you are not able to provide your body the large amount of oxygen it needs because you are exercising and your lungs are having specific capacity. You cannot exceed that capacity. At that time, anaerobic respiration occurs. So what is anaerobic respiration? It's quite simple. To break down the glucose, we need oxygen, but we are not having enough oxygen. So glucose won't be broken down completely. The glucose will be broken down just a little bit. Okay. So occurs in the absence of oxygen when oxygen is not present in sufficient amount. Produces less ATP than aerobic respiration. It makes sense actually, because if we are having large amount of oxygen will break down large amount of or completely break down the glucose. But if we are not having large amount of oxygen or sufficient amount of oxygen, this insufficient amount of oxygen won't be able to break down a glucose molecule completely, because we need huge amount of oxygen to break down a glucose completely. We are not having enough oxygen, so glucose won't be broken down completely. So enough ATP won't be produced, right? A less ATP is produced. So pyruvic acid is directly converted into alcohol or certain other organic acids. It does not get into the Krebs cycle. The pyruvic acid does not get into the ETC cycle, where the largest amount of ATPs are produced. So where it occurs? Mainly in microorganisms and bacteria. The anaerobic respiration mainly occurs in microorganisms and bacteria. Apart from this, our muscle cell also performs anaerobic respiration in case of exercise. When we are exercising a lot and we are feeling exhausted, at that point of time, anaerobic respiration occurs in our body. Lactic acid, which is an organic acid, it is produced in our muscles, which makes us feel fatigued, which makes us feel tired. Okay. Then key points here, understand this. You can again pause the video and you can write it down. Anaerobic respiration releases less energy due to incomplete breakdown of glucose and glycolysis. Afterwards, it does not enters the Krebs cycle. It does not enters into the ETC cycle. After glycolysis, fermentation occurs directly. Then let's talk about certain other nutrients apart from carbohydrates, which we need in order to produce energy if we are not getting it from carbohydrates. Proteins, yes, proteins and lipids. Lipids means fats. Fats means oil, simply. Made from amino acids, proteins. It helps in growth and repair of the tissue. Proteins. We need a lot of amount of proteins in order to produce a new muscle, in order to produce new hairs, in order to keep our nails healthy. Yes, in order to keep our skin healthy, we need proteins. So animal proteins are called first class proteins because they contain majority or mainly or nearly all the amino acids there. So animal proteins are called as first class protein. 1 gram of protein provides 4 kilocalories of energy, which is exactly equivalent to the amount of energy which we were getting from the carbohydrates. And then lipids, formed by fatty acids and alcohol, stores energy in the form of cell membrane. They store energy. Fat, which which sometimes get deposited in our bodies also in the form of adipose connective tissue, stores energy. It stores a lot of energy because it provides 9 kilocalories of energy. And cell membrane, our cell membranes are made up of fats. 1 gram of lipid provides 9 kilocalories of energy. Excess fat is stored in adipose connective tissue. We already discussed it some extra consumption of materials, lipid materials, oily substances may lead some damages to your health in the form of obesity and all. Helps in hormone production because majority of the hormones are produced with the help of fats and lipids. Vitamins, water and fibers. Although vitamins, we do not require vitamins in larger amounts, but still vitamins are something which we need in order to make our body's processes go in a smooth manner. Essential nutrients required for proper body functionings. Six main types of vitamins are there. Just pause the video and write it down: A, B, C, D, E and K. These six are the main types of vitamins. And again, vitamins are classified into two categories based on its dissolution. Yes, in which material, in which solvent they are soluble. Fat soluble: A, D, E, K. A, vitamin D, vitamin A, and vitamin K. These four vitamins are fat soluble, so these are categorized as fat soluble vitamins. And on the other hand, vitamin B and vitamin C, these two vitamins are water soluble vitamins. Vitamin B2 and vitamin B3 help in energy production. This is very important point here, that vitamin B2, which is also called riboflavin, and vitamin B3, which is also called nicotinamide, which helps us in the energy production process, which we had already discussed in the slides previously. Now let's move to water. It makes up about 65 to 70% of human body. Now we know the fact that water is life. Each cell contains about 70% of water. Blood plasma contains about 90 to 92% water. Yes, we had already studied this point actually in previous classes, that blood plasma contains 90 to 92% of water. Even a small loss of water can affect a normal body functioning. Yes, whenever you are in a dehydrated condition, you will observe that your mind, your body, your thinking process hampers a lot, and your body cannot function well. Even though there is a very little loss of water from your body, not all the water has been lost from your body, but just a little loss can hamper your thinking process, your bodily activities, your muscle movements hamper a lot. Then let's talk about the fibers. These are the unsung heroes of our health, obtained from leafy vegetables, fruits and cereals, which like current generation is not interested in consuming leafy vegetables and fruits and cereals, which is a very bad thing actually. Cannot be digested by the body. These fibers are not digestible to our body, but still they help in digestion and removal of undigested food which is left inside our stomachs and left inside our intestines. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and share your questions in the comments if you have any. Subscribe for more biology lessons. We are coming up with more biology lessons, and we are continuing with the syllabus. We need to complete your syllabus online in here. So let's talk biology by me. Yes, you know my name. Okay, we are making biology simple, interesting and easy to remember. If you want to join our classes, that is again an option for you. Have a good day. Thank you.